Have you been looking for a simple card idea that packs that wow factor? You know, the card that makes your friends and family think that you spent hours creating it? Well, in this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have a simple yet beautiful card idea to share that is sure to wow your family and friends. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have a simple Z-fold card featuring the Stampin Up Abstract Impressions stamp set. By the end of this video, you will learn how to make this simple fun fold card. If you love flowers and handmade butterfly card ideas, then stick around because I will have a special treat for you at the end of this video. For the latest card making and paper crafting ideas, be sure to subscribe to my channel and click on that little bell so you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. Okay, so first let's talk about the supplies you will need to gather for this project. You will need some white cardstock. You will also need the Abstract Impressions stamp set, the Springtime Impressions Thinlits dies, and in particular we're going to be using the butterfly from that die set. You will also need some Grapefruit Grove ink and some Grapefruit Grove cardstock to cut out your butterfly, some soft seafoam ink, Pear Pizzazz ink. We're also going to use some of the Subtles DSP, and then we're also going to use a piece of the Delightfully Detailed Laser Cut Designer paper. All right, next let's talk about the measurements and how to prep the supplies that you need for this card. So the first thing you will need is a piece of Whisper white cardstock, and this piece is cut at 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches. And then it is scored on the 11-inch side. It is scored at 2 3/4 inches and 5 1/2 inches. You will also need a piece of designer series paper. So this piece is cut at 2 1/2 by 4 inches. Then you will also need a piece of trim, and we're going to cut it down and we're going to put it on this designer series paper. And then you will also need to cut a butterfly from a piece of Grapefruit Grove cardstock. Are you ready to learn how to make this Z-fold card? Then go ahead and give me a thumbs up in the comments below and let's get started. Okay, so to make this card, I just opened up the card so that you can see it as I'm stamping. I have some grid paper behind this card because as we do the stamping, we're going to do a little bit of stamping off, and so I want to make sure that I have some paper to protect my table. With this stamp set, there are 2 different stamp images that we're going to use on the bottom of the card. So this larger one I will use with the soft seafoam, and then the smaller one I will use with the Pear Pizzazz ink. And so you can see the soft seafoam is the light color and the Pear Pizzazz is the darker color ink. So we'll start with the soft seafoam, and I'm going to start on this side of the card right next to the score line. And I'm just going to stamp my image all the way across the card. Okay, next I'm going to stamp the darker green. Okay, now I'm going to create the flowers that are on the card. So to do that, I'm going to use my Grapefruit Grove ink. And there are 2 different images that we will be using. One is a circular, the little circular flower image, and then the other is an image that kind of puts these little highlights or the little lines on top of the flowers. So we will start with the circular flowers. So I'll just ink this up, and I don't want to stamp directly on here because it'll be really dark. It'll be as dark as those little highlights. So I want to do what's called stamping off, and I want to stamp off first, and then I want to go ahead and stamp my image. It gives it a much lighter and a much more subtle look. And then when I go to add my accents, so when I go to add these accents, I can use the full color. I don't have to stamp off. So that's a great way to use, one color ink to get 2 different shades of that color. Okay, and we'll do one more. All right, So now I want to take this image and I want to add all these little accents. And I'm not going to do any stamping off with this. I'm just going to add it as it is. And this image lines up perfectly with the one I just stamped. So I just need to line it up and stamp. All right, now we've created a beautiful flower garden right across the bottom of our card. So the next thing I want to do is I want to add this little sentiment. So I want to stamp it kind of as close as I can to this score line so that when I close my card, you can't see it, right? And then when I open it, that's when you see the sentiment. So I am going to use the darker green ink, the Pear Pizzazz ink, and we'll just add the sentiment. Okay, now to create this piece, I'm going to take my designer series paper and I'm just going to adhere it right to this flap of the card. Now I'm going to take my little scallop trim. I want to add a piece to each side of the designer paper. So just grab a little scrap piece of paper and run your tape all the way across to add the adhesive, and then just peel it off and stick it on your card. Okay, the last thing we want to do before we put the butterfly on is we just want to create our Z-fold card. So the first thing you're going to do is just fold this in half. And I'm going to use a bone folder to just crease my score line. And then you're going to take this other piece and fold it back onto itself. And you're going to do the same thing. Use your bone folder and get a nice crisp score line. When I close the card, I want my butterfly to be right about there, just kind of hanging over onto the edge. So I'm going to adhere the butterfly with a couple of glue dots. So I'm just going to put the glue dots right on the body, right down the center, and I'm going to leave the wings just kind of flying. So I'm going to close my card, and then I'm going to position the butterfly where I want it. So I kind of want it right about there. Then I'm just going to embellish the center with a couple little pearls. That's it. Now you know how to create a fun Z-fold card that is sure to wow your friends and family. For a complete supply list on this project and even more fun handmade butterfly card ideas, you can download my free tutorial featuring 3 different Stampin' Up Abstract Impressions card ideas. You can find the link below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. Leave a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the projects today. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.